Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Podcrash. Today our guest is the one-time guest on the hit CBBC show Matilda Ramsey Brunch, Olympic gold medalist and London World Cup winner, and is also the second most famous Joe Clarke in the UK. We welcome Joe Clarke from Kayak.
Hello.
Thank you. The second most famous. Cheers, guys.
Well, there's that cricketer guy, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's what Google says.
Well, I'll take it after a cricketer, I guess. After, do you know what I mean?
After a cricketer. Obviously, we're in a different location. For those of you listening, you probably wouldn't be able to tell, or maybe the audio is a little bit better, but we're in a better location. Phil, you want to talk about where we are?
Yeah, we're at Dink
office headquarters.
Office headquarters.
We're in a very fancy studio.
Yeah, very fancy studio. We actually got lighting for the cameras. Camera quality should be better as well.
We got three-man team.
Yeah, can't see them. Stepped up quite a bit, and our branding changed as well on the Podcrash Instagram page.
Yeah,
Podcrash in general.
Yeah, so we've got a Twitter page, we've got an Instagram page, we've got a YouTube channel, and we're launching a website by the end of the week, but it might be up by this time this goes live. And yeah, big times.
It's gone viral, hasn't it?
It has. Are you a fan of the podcast, Joe?
Yeah, man, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy hearing you two bicker between the two of you.
What does your fiance think of it?
Yeah. She doesn't actually enjoy it that much. She's like,
she's not like shouted at you once to say turn it off.
She's not a podcast kind of person. So like we're sitting in the car and she's just like, I could just put some music on. I'm bored of these guys already. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, and a lot of like the jokes, like inside jokes, that obviously you just kind of have to be there or you just understand the
Phil
the big businessman kind of stuff. Like,
we've explained the big businessman thing enough.
Yeah, she didn't listen to that episode, so
we're one step further to becoming a big businessman.
one step closer to becoming a big businessman. But anyway, so I'm not the sound engineer anymore, so that'll go a lot better.
Yeah,
because we had to take the audio from Helen Scott's once off of the camera.
Because Callum forgot to press record.
You pressed it this time, right?
I'm not in charge.
Yeah,
it's not my fault. It's not my fault. So yeah, let's start. Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
How did you get into kayak? I believe you tried it first in Scouts or something?
Yeah, so I tried it first with the Scouts. I was like 8. Really enjoyed it. Tried to join the local canoe club, Stafford and Stone, give them a cheeky plug. But I was too young, or they said I was too young at the time. The secretary did. So kind of forgot about it, carried on playing football, rugby at a really low standard. Always been that bench warmer.
What position were you for rugby?
Well, anything. You know
anything?
I mean? Yeah, I mean, literally, probably. I'd be the guy that just runs after the ball, basically, and then picks it up and then gets shouted at to pass it.
I tried to stay away from it as much as possible.
So then, kind of, at my school, I was at, it's like first school, middle school, high school in Staffordshire. So middle school, year 6, there was an opportunity to try kayaking. I was the second year of it. A couple of the guys are still going, like Adam Burgess, who's also on the senior team at the moment. He was the first year of it. So I applied, there's like 50 applicants, only 8 spots, and there's like 4 girls, 4 guys. So I was like, right, okay, I'm going to get chosen. I'm not the best at school in terms of like my attitude, maybe a bit naughty.
No, come on, hold on.
Just a bit cheeky.
This isn't the usual podcast. We don't just like listen as journalists. We interrupt and we get the proper stories.
What naughty things did you do?
I can't think of any examples. I mean, sure you got a teacher.
Okay, I'll start to make you feel more at ease. That's what we do here. So I made my home economics teacher cry once because we all went. For some reason, our last thing was to make we made all kinds of things like wedding cakes, scones, all that kind of stuff. And our last project for home ec was to make a baked potato in the microwave. And I thought, fuck this. I'm just going to go around with a rolling pin and smash them all. So we did that. And then she started crying and I had sorry to that home economics teacher anyway.
In hindsight,
hold on, Phil. You were a little shit in school.
I was caught smoking in 4th grade. I don't even know how old I was. I was like,
yeah, when we go through
grade in the toilets, just caught smoking.
When we go through sports that Phil used to do, I like to say like ice hockey, rowing, smoking, and then we go on to the other ones as well.
Yeah. You know, when you're like young, like 8, 9,
you were an 8-year-old smoker.
Well, you think it's cool, isn't it?
You think it's cool.
4th grade, yeah. I had my friend who used to like own a takeaway. He used to steal money like from the cashier thing.
Oh, was that the Greek restaurant?
Yeah, a Greek restaurant. And it's just like because in Germany you can like get the cigarettes on the wall, like just like put 4 or 3
vending
euros in vending
machines,
machine. And you get them, and he just bought like 10 packs, and we just thought it was cool back in the day. So
So yeah, Joe, have you got anything
in
to mention?
hindsight, after listening to your two stories, I feel I was pretty good at school.
Oh, like, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I was probably more like back chatting to a teacher, which was pretty tame compared to you guys. So anyway, the following week in assembly, there was an opportunity. Like they said, "All right, who wants to do it? If you want to do it, you've got to write a letter as to why you should be chosen."
Yeah.
So I went home and said, "Mom, Dad, like write me this letter, basically." So I get chosen. They were like, "Well, we're not those kind of parents that do it for you. We'll help you, but we're not going to do it." Went upstairs, wrote something down on like the back of a bit of paper.
What did you write?
I was just like, I tried it with the Scouts, like something that really interests me. I tried to join before with the canoe club, etc. I can't remember exactly, but along those lines, probably a bit worse English than that as well. And then the following week in assembly, I was announced as one of the guys for the taster sessions. It was only 6 weeks at first, one session a week, and then there's an opportunity to join the canoe club and carry on in the group that was, and then just went from once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. You know how it goes. Like you enjoy it, and I was good at it. So it's like straight away after like 6 months, it was like no more rugby, no more football, no more sitting on the bench. Let's go do some canoeing kind of thing. So yeah, definitely got more enjoyment. Yeah.
Mate, like we got more in common than you think because I used to do kayaking.
Did you?
Yeah, genuinely, yeah. It was one of the sports I tried out. I could do the Eskimo roll and all that kind of thing. I think there's probably a more politically correct name for it now. Yeah, they've got like a little rainbow thing, haven't they? You go through all the grades. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I never did that. I just went straight into slalom, but yeah, you do that. I mean, Eskimo roll is actually the correct terminology.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that'll get updated at some point, I guess. So like it's a bit unusual for a school to do kayaking as a sport though. So like is that something that's growing in the UK or is it like how did your school end up doing kayaking?
Literally I didn't know at the time. I basically had this canoe club. It was like a shed essentially, like a big shed. And it always had like graffiti on it. It looked terrible from the outside, but we have like an inter-club championship. It's been going for like 28 years now or something. And we've won it 26 out of 28 years. It's Stuff and Stone. So that goes through all the ranks from lowest division, Division 4, straight through to like the Premier Division, which is the top division. So you've got to have like 2 representatives in each category. So it's like strength and depth almost that comes through. Yeah, and we won it 26 times out of 28. So like we are the best canoe club in the country. Yeah, this shed was basically producing the best athletes in kind of all kind of aspects and disciplines.
Did the focus of sport have an impact on your school life? Did you stop smoking?
I wasn't smoking. But yeah, it did actually. Like it kind of got to the point where it was like every weekend I was going. Obviously, it's quite expensive to buy a canoe, a paddle, like kayak, a paddle, all the gear. So my parents said like, right, we'll make the kind of investment with you as long as you make the investment towards that you'll start behaving better at school, because like we don't want to keep seeing the teachers all like having words and stuff in the background. So that kind of twisted my arm to, you know what, I love canoeing, so let's start being better at school, and that's kind of hand in hand. And then from there onwards, it was like, well, nothing really went wrong at school, just kind of become the teacher's pet almost.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it's quite funny. I've got cousins at my high school, and they literally say like the head teacher in every assembly is like, right, we need to be more like Joe Clarke. Like,
oh wow!
At the end of the assemblies.
Well, given the content we're going to go into later, maybe they'll change their mind.
Oh, I don't want to know what's coming up. I'm just enjoying the here and now.
But so I guess, is it fair to say that you wouldn't have done that kind of letter thing if it was like rugby or football? Like, what made it special about kayak?
Just from that one experience I tried with the Scouts, like when you try something with the mates, you enjoy it, had a good laugh. I just thought I want to pursue this further and see what it's like. And then there's nothing to say that after 6 sessions I was going to carry on, but I enjoyed it, was good at it. And then it was just one of those things that, obviously with the Scouts, enjoying being outdoors, canoeing's outdoors. So it's kind of like a bit of both. You go to places you never would expect to go.
Did you do slalom straight away with the Scouts or?
No, it was literally just...
Don't put kids straight into slalom.
Well, I don't know.
It's like white water, mate.
They said before you went straight into slalom.
But you don't put like beavers straight into slalom, mate.
Well, you don't just get on the bike and go straight to the track, do you?
Yeah.
Literally from...
Yeah, you do actually. You do actually go straight to the track, yeah.
Oh, right.
Like BMX is a better example because that's more dangerous.
Yeah. Well, they go straight on the BMX track.
Yeah, they have smaller ramps though and stuff.
Yeah, just,
like you wouldn't
they might have smaller...
Like a kid who's trying...
rivers, I don't know.
A kid who's trying mountain biking, you wouldn't put him down like a black run.
Why not?
That's Phil Hines'...
No, I'm talking about like, you've just got off your stabilised. You're not going to go straight into the track, are you?
Well, the thing is, like, talking
about... Or do you actually do that?
Well, talking about being a big businessman, this is another one of Phil Hines' like business propositions. This is part of the Phil Hines Institute of Sport. And basically, his plan is to sign up like 100 people and whittle it down to about 5 in the space of a month, isn't it? And you just want the best. Yeah, because you told me that once. You're like, yeah, you just want to work with the best, and you're going to like whittle them down all the way.
Was that after he like installed the home gym and did his S&C
course? The home gym. Yeah, there's only one squat rack, so it's going to take a lot of time to get through those athletes. But oh no, fair enough. So let's get on to like we always ask people about like the fundamentals of the sport. So can you describe to us a little bit like the ins and outs of like whitewater kayaking, I guess, or slalom?
So it kind of ranges between 18 and 24 gates. They've now changed the rules this year, so it can be 6 upstreams, so the red ones where you go back up through, but it can also be 8. So it's 6 or 8 upstreams within those 24 gates. And essentially it's down a stretch of whitewater, probably like 250 to 350 meters. Quickest person, if you hit one of the gates with any of your equipment or yourself, it's a 2-second penalty. If you miss it, it's kind of dubious with the kind of spectators. A 50 is literally like if you're half your head or half your boat's not in the gate at the same time, that's a 50-second penalty. So it's kind of hard for people to understand outside of the sport, and that's something we're trying to work on to get better kind of understanding of that for the spectator, because some people think that's brilliant, but then it's actually a 50. So that's essential, and obviously it's total time, so it's time including penalties, the quickest past the post essentially. Is
it like a dangerous sport particularly?
Yeah, there's a lot of dislocations and stuff like that goes on because the white water is quite fierce.
So I learned about a new discipline today called extreme canoe slalom. What's the difference between that and normal canoe slalom?
It's like 4 people go off a start ramp together. So it's like 4 people head to head. So it's like border cross on the snowboard. So
BMXing probably.
Yeah, BMX as well. Yeah, so it's kind of trying to become more extreme, more kind of spectator friendly as well, and potentially another discipline that will come in Paris.
You're gonna give
so
that.
Do the 4 guys have 4 separate gates, or
so there's like 2 upstreams. The red ones you have to go back up through, but they're kind of a buoy is set instead of an upstream, so you have to go around the buoy. And then there's a roll period, so you got to like turn Eskimo roll in a certain distance. So everybody has to do an Eskimo roll.
Fair enough.
It's like you have to watch it. It can be like one of those things that somebody gets a really good start, gets around the first upstream, and that's it, game over. Or it can be like they're all ramming into each other, like because you can like tactically push the back of somebody's boat or the front of somebody's boat.
So contact's allowed.
Yeah. But there's then there's also like limits to contact. Like you can't put your paddle across somebody else's boat and stuff like that. So it's like really easy to get yourself disqualified.
Have you ever done it?
I did do it about 6-7 years ago, but I haven't done it since because chasing the kind of Olympics in slalom really. But if it becomes an Olympic discipline, I'll definitely.
Such a pure athlete.
Well, I mean, do you guys get a BMX at all?
Well, that's an Olympic discipline, of course. That's Phil's talent transfer idea.
At least once a week.
Paris 2024, Phil Hines.
Yeah.
Watch this picture.
And in terms of like the physiology of it, like I always say to people when it comes to cycling, like we always look like the opposite of most guys you see at the gym. So we got more or less a fairly small upper body, but then massive legs. Whereas you guys probably look like more like your typical gym goer, I guess.
Tiny legs.
But then literally walking on these like stick legs.
Ostrich leg.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Niall Wilson, the gymnast?
Yeah.
Smallest legs I've ever seen.
You think?
Have you not seen them, mate?
Well, you obviously haven't seen some of the kayakers, then, have you?
No, mate. Like honestly, like he goes along, and it's you can't believe that his legs actually belong to his body because he's like stacked. He's fucking stacked up top, and then it goes like along the bottom like that.
Yeah,
I guess they need like legs, don't they, to like lift themselves up and stuff like this.
I thought of gymnasts who need quite strong legs.
I don't know what he does, but it doesn't seem like it, mate.
Oh,
he needs to get.
He's doing all right. He's doing all right without.
So I think if you have heavy legs on the rings,
I'm basically just trying to start feuds so we get more.
You're
guests
trying to get on the podcast. Yeah, I can see what you're doing.
He's got his own podcast.
I'm talking about me. He's just started
his own podcast.
Yeah.
I tell you who else has started a podcast. Kevin Thomas.
Yeah.
And Luke Lowe.
Yeah. Have you listened to them?
Not yet. No.
Actually, really funny.
Is it good?
My favorite one was about Wild Poets, like Dutch guy.
Easily good.
You see it,
did that pain you to say that?
No. Why
would that pain me? Stealing your viewers, mate.
Well, I know it's like
we started the trend and then they're taking that and jumping on board. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, we come on the scene doing like athlete to athlete chat, and then all of a sudden one starts like a month or 2 months later, and you think, "Oh, where'd you get that idea from?"
Oh, I mean,
although apparently me and Kevin have a bit of beef.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what about though.
I reckon you should get him on the podcast and ask him.
Well, I met him at Sports Personality, and he was like, "Oh, you're not so bad after all." I'm like, I didn't think we'd fallen out.
He hated you for it.
I genuinely don't know the reason though.
I'll tell you after this podcast.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Oh, okay. And so yeah, you guys are spending a lot of time in the gym then.
Yeah. in the winter, like 3 or 4 times a week in the gym, but it's literally all upper body. So like we are the guys that skip leg day. Like we're the polar opposite.
Yeah. And
what's like your main gym session?
We like bench press, pull ups, bench pull, stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard you like to brag about your bench press PBs and pull up PBs, eh?
Yeah, mate. It's not. You've got to. It says the guy who puts his squat videos on 200 for 6 today, 200 for 6.
Mate, he's not squatting anymore. We didn't cover the news. You're not squatting at the moment.
I've got sore hip. I've got bursitis in my hip, and it's been going. Yeah, and coming back for a while. So,
would you now say this is the worst injury you've ever had above your cut finger?
No, I've had this injury. I've had the same injury. I had the same injury like for real, but
you just got on with it.
I can't remember what it is. I have a really bad memory.
I
think I stopped squatting there for a while. So.
Is it a good omen then if it's coming about this time before
Hopefully,
Tokyo?
Yeah. The thing is, I had a good gym block. Squatted at 205 for 6.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I've robbed you then full 5 kilos.
It works in. 5 kilos makes a big difference. Hit a new bench PB as well in Valencia.
Oh, have the bench off then. Fuck
you got you got 3 figures now.
Yeah. I actually benched 100 kilos, failed on 105.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's your bench show then?
146 is my best.
146?
Yeah, I just missed 148, unfortunately.
They have half-kilo weights in your gym?
Yeah, mate.
Wow. That's what you get.
It's like putting a donut in the side of the bar, do you know what I mean?
I know. I mean, well, talking about
Krispy Kremes on either end.
I mean, talking about the Phil Hindes Institute of Sport, Joe Clarke's actually got his own gym.
Oh, yeah.
Name's on the door, you're not coming in, mate.
I've been there. I went in. He tried to tell me to.
No, let him in, mate.
Where's the gym?
So it's our centre. A centre of excellence. All the medalists have their own like kind of meeting room. So you got like the Rich Hounslow meeting room, Dale Florence, Etty and Tim Bailey, and then it was like, we haven't got any meeting rooms left. It was either the toilet or the gym. So the gym seemed the best option. Like hopefully they'll either create some more meeting rooms, or otherwise the Tokyo medalists will probably have the toilet.
No, I think like, so going back to the fundamentals of it, so like the venue of like having a whitewater kind of kayak arena is like super impressive. Like, do you still get that kind of buzz from looking at it? So like whenever I go into a velodrome, I still like, there's still a bit of me that doesn't really get over the degree of the banking and how steep it is and how impressive it is just as a venue. Is that something that still carries over now? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's when you go to other venues and come back to your own one, which is like Lee Valley. I mean, it is the best in the world. Everybody says that. It's kind of almost stands alone, and that's why Rio was designed off that. That's why Tokyo is going to be designed off that as well. It's had the best legacy after the Olympics ever for a whitewater venue. So I guess it's kind of, you go abroad. For example, our world's venue this year is in Spain. It was created in 1992 for the Barcelona Olympics, still going strong, but kind of looks like a little river compared to Lee Valley. Certainly requires different elements of the fundamentals we talked about.
And then, like, so how does the consistency work? Like, so for instance, when Phil and I ever went to an outdoor track, Phil's got an obsession with the wind. So, like, if you ever did a good time, he'd be like, mate, you had a good wind. Every single time. Like, is there any kind of inconsistency in the water that someone can look at it and say, oh, mate, the pumps were a bit faster that time, or they're a bit slower or something? I mean,
there's definitely inconsistencies, but I think it's kind of one of those, it gives and takes in different areas. So you might have a good top section, but then the water might be bad at the bottom. Or it could be bad at the top, good at the bottom. I think there's like elements of being able to read the water ahead of you and then dealing with that, and that's a skill in itself. And I think obviously the people that train on that venue more often know how to deal with those inconsistencies better. The water is probably one of the hardest things to predict how it's going to be.
Do you say you can read the water pretty well?
There is like this omen, like this the story about one of the older paddlers who was like 5 times world champ, and in a venue, Augsburg, which is home to the 72 Olympics. And he supposedly could read the surge of the water, and he was timing his start time depending on when he was going to go. But I mean,
what nationality was this guy?
British, yeah. But
okay. No. That sounded like a real German thing for a second there.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But I mean, I don't really believe it too much, because we have to go within 5 seconds of your start either side. So I mean, that surge isn't going to change a huge amount in 10 seconds. So I mean, if he's going to just give us 2 minutes, mate, this is a bad surge. It doesn't work like that. It's not like you can decide your own start time. So I think it's obviously just, you've got to go when it's your time to go and hope for the best.
And kind of last kind of technical question on the fundamentals bit. Like, you guys always paddle from one side, don't you? Pretty much.
What do you mean?
You always paddle from one side, pretty much, don't you?
No.
Is it not?
No,
hold on. No, I've heard
sport.
Have you ever watched what I do, mate? I thought we were friends.
Mate, I was there. I wasn't there.
No, you think of the you think of the.
I've heard something.
No, kayak. Oh, what is the thing where you like knee down and you have one paddle?
That's a canoe.
No, I'm not talking about that.
What do you?
Anyway, I hear there's like a new technique where you like use both sides of the boat or some shit like that.
Well, you saved yourself there.
I saved myself there. Yeah, thanks.
A new technique. I haven't heard of that one.
No, it's just a normal canoe.
Maybe I think you're thinking of a canoe usually paddles on one side.
Yeah.
But there's like a new technique that's come in, which is called switching, which then like rather than paddling on the same side and crossing over with a crossbow.
Isn't that the David Follins thing?
He wasn't the first person to bring it in, but he started doing it very heavily. Yeah.
Oh, I heard he was the first.
Fabian Lefebvre, world champion.
Oh. That's what you get
14,
being in the same agency.
yeah.
You get this fake news, I guess.
Exactly,
don't you?
mate.
Yeah,
Sorry to break it to you.
Okay, so we got the sport covered. Like, but you got pretty unwell when you were 15, I guess. From my research I've done.
I did what?
You got pretty unwell.
Yes, yeah.
Meningitis, which is like
secondary meningitis, not quite the full blown one, but I got an abscess behind the back of my eye, and as a result of that, I got secondary meningitis. I don't really know what that means, but it's pretty serious. I was in hospital for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh shit!
And that was just before like RGB trials. And it was like the first year I was looking like I was going to make a team. It's like 2008, and I was absolutely gutted. Like, I had such a strong winter, and winter is like the grimmest period as a kayaker or a canoeist because it's literally all outside.
Yeah.
And obviously, being at that level, not like the best, you don't really get to do these nice trips to Australia and stuff. So it was literally training in Nottingham in like -5 conditions, hands about to fall off, like chilblains a lot, like, and then it's get to the kind of point where you want to like do the competitions for all that hard work coming to its like fruition, and then it's like, oh, get struck down with an abscess and secondary meningitis.
Well, so that's kind of the time when you're pitching to get on the GB squad as well, though.
Yeah.
But they kind of followed through with you and saw the potential you had.
Well, it was because I missed the team. Like, well, the doctor said, "Oh, you should have 6 months rest." And drink lots of Red Bull was actually his quote. No word of a lie. That's what the specialist
was
said.
it?
Yeah, no, it was.
Right, okay,
it was.
yeah.
Coincidentally, obviously sponsored by Red Bull, but no, I actually said that, and that was like age what, like 17.
There's other energy drinks available,
yeah,
by the way, but yeah.
And I was just like, okay, but then we would already booked to go up to Scotland anyway with the family because that was our first selection race in a place called Grand Tully. Don't know if you know it.
Of course I do. I'm Scottish.
And we went up and I basically did the first run, and it was at the time it was both your runs added together.
Yeah.
So aggregate runs from both, and just absolutely flopped on the first run and said like I'm nowhere near fit enough. Like I've just had like 2.5 weeks in hospital. It was only 3 weeks later, so went home kind of tail between my legs, but absolutely gutted. And then we had like a rate. There was like a trip to Bratislava, Slovakia later that year. And I had to race off with another lad for that spot, and then raced off in the summer, beat him, and kind of then stepped onto just coaching. There's no kind of funding or anything like that. It was just coaching for the following year when I broke onto the GB team for the first time. And
so obviously once you got better off the back of Red Bull and not antibiotics, you got onto the GB team.
Mate, it was a cocktail of Red Bull antibiotics.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, sorry. So how was that experience kind of turning full-time for the first time?
I didn't turn full-time then because I was still doing... A-levels probably then, 2009.
Oh, so they take you guys on a bit earlier, do you?
You get funding, depending on the results. It's not obviously amounts that are going to change your world, but just a little bit to help with the gear. It's so expensive. We don't get our bikes or anything given to us. We have to buy our own kayaks.
Did you?
We have to buy our own paddles. Yeah, none of this is subsidised, mate.
Grew up in the street, mate. No, so I was like, well, I don't know. When we were, well, you weren't on the ODP, like the development program or anything like that, but we got like 2.5K a year.
An ODP?
Yeah. Oh. And you honestly, like, given that the rest of your mates were doing a paper round at school, like, you felt like a millionaire because we didn't have to buy bikes or anything like that as well. Pretty much because you were set. So when did you turn full time? About 17, 18? Yeah,
I moved to Nottingham after doing my A-levels. I was going to go to university and then kind of didn't get the grades. So I was going to go in through clearing.
Yeah.
And then decided, I was speaking to a few teachers, they were saying like you can go to university at any point you want to. Like you can only be an athlete for a certain amount of time. Basically teachers that probably hadn't quite done what they wanted to do when they're younger and went into the academic side of things. So
what were you going to study?
Sports science.
Okay.
Obviously completely different than every other athlete's ever done. Do you know what I mean?
No, fair enough. And then how did it feel? So when you did get that kind of full-time thing, obviously, did you start getting your kayak paid for at that point?
No, we don't get. We never get our
You never
gear
get your kayaks paid for?
No.
How expensive is a kayak?
Depending on the manufacturer. The one I'm with is like 1,600 quid. The ones that another manufacturer is like 2,500.
That's not.
You could probably go for like 2 or 3 a year, mate. When you add that up, that's quite.
Mate, that's the cost of like one wheel in cycling. Mate.
Yeah, you don't pay for that, mate. That's the cost of the bolt that holds the back tire on, isn't it? Mate?
No, fair enough. Yeah. So then you turned professional and you moved to Nottingham for the first time.
Yep.
So talk us through that experience, like, because I guess when a lot of the guys moved down to cycling, there's especially in Fairfield and Manchester, which if anyone knows, Fairfield is a bit of a student town. There's every temptation you can possibly think of. Phil's favourite place was Chicken King for a while.
Yeah, I remember hearing the podcast of that wine.
Yeah, delicious.
Best chicken burger in the world.
Yeah.
Genuinely, like this episode is not sponsored by Chicken King, but I will say it again. The juiciest chicken you can find probably in the UK. I don't know how they make it so juicy, but it's delicious. One fill is first Olympic gold.
Yeah.
That and Cocoa Pops.
Yeah, they still do Cocoa Pops, but I haven't been to Chicken King in ages.
No, you have.
When was the last time we've been there?
You've been this year, definitely, with me.
Yeah, probably after night out. Yeah, it was. I can't. We just used to go like treated like not the first year, but the second year we just used to go out all the time, didn't we? In Fairfield.
But Nottingham's a bit of a student town,
Yeah,
so did you have
massively.
a distraction as well?
Yeah, a lot of my friends were actually at university at Trent or Nottingham.
Oh, okay.
So Wednesday night was always Ocean Wednesdays. Like
Ocean
it's fancy dress.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's like literally fancy dress. Anything went basically.
Talk us through some of your outfits.
Obviously Baywatch.
Obviously, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just take your top off basically
Get
at
the
any
pack
point
out.
you can.
Phil gets his pack.
It used to be the Baywatch theme tune used to come on every single Wednesday, and basically even guys and girls all used to set the tops off and just wave them around the head, and it was just like, this is actually happening. Like
And
the first,
girls?
yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
And we used to do like it used to be a bar called BZR Trip, and they used to do like Tuesdays triples or singles, which is like pretty loose when you have a few of those.
Yeah. So although you didn't go to university, you could pretty much have the freshers lifestyle.
Well, we actually created our own fake freshers bands.
What?
So the freshers bands are actually like cotton.
Yeah.
But we like basically undid the band thing off it, like the toggle thing, and put it in the printer, scanned it in, and then basically created another one in paper. When you rocked up to the door, you just show that, and then it was like we actually scanned in a student ID. One of the guys is good on Photoshop. Photoshopped our photo on it, changed the details to the names and everything.
Mate, I'm not sure if that's like sad or impressive. I don't really know what I'm saying.
Mate, the nights out we had were amazing.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's like,
How was the canoeing going at this time?
amazing. No, well, to be fair, we all moved into, me and my friend Ryan and Zach all moved into a house. And we kind of didn't really know Ryan too much. Me and Zach were really good friends. And Ryan was, he's just like a C1 pal we didn't know too much about. And we were literally walking in, we had like a 4-bedroom house, 3 of them being used. And Ryan just walks in, hadn't done any work on securing the house, doing the deposit or anything. He had like one job to go and put the deposit down. He was like, oh, sorry, I got drunk last night. Didn't get around to doing it. I'm going to Europe for 2 weeks. See you later.
Yeah.
And like, then Zach had to drive up from like Windsor to drop the deposit off in Nottingham just so we could secure the house. Ryan walks straight in and just goes, shotgun to the biggest bedroom in the house. And it's just like, this just happened. Like,
Have you heard about the story about the, we're jumping forward a bit, but have you heard about the story about the Aussies in Rio?
about the...
So basically on every accreditation, like at any big championship, you've got an accreditation and it's got a series of letters at the bottom, which basically say like what venue you're allowed into.
Yeah.
So the Aussies for years, like past Olympics, like 2012, 2008, even before that, had all been getting these little like type printer things, these little, with other things, I don't know what they're called, label makers.
Yeah.
And they basically typed out AAA, which is access all areas, and stuck them on the bottom of their pass. And it worked for years, but then they finally got rumbled when they went to the basketball final and the entire cycling team was there. So you're talking about like 25 people were courtside at like a non-Australian final. And they all got like, they got like arrested and everything. Like
they got fined as well, didn't they?
Yeah, heavy. Like they had to do public apologies and everyone got involved and all that kind of stuff. So kids, like watch out if you're going to,
create your own student IDs.
Yeah.
No, too fair. The student ID worked a treat. And then it got to the point where like, I said to the bouncer, was like, I know that band's fake, mate. And he was like, just go to the main desk and tell me details. I was like, oh God, like, okay, so like what past him, and I was like trying to go past the main desk, and he was like, no, that's the main desk there. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So he's like, student card, please. And I was like, I don't have it. And the guy was like, you just give it to me. I was like what do I do? So I handed him this fake student card, and the woman sat there and she was typing the numbers in and everything on it because they're all fake numbers and whatever. She was like, I can't seem to find you in the system. I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was like, no biggie. And then she was like, no, really, like, where'd you get this? And I was like, then like she realised the corner started peeling up because it basically was like a credit card that stuck this paper to. I was like, I'll take that. See ya.
Have you never tried the BOA card trick?
What's that?
So if you're as soon as you get on a program, you get a BOA silver card, and it basically gives you like a discount with all their partners. But we used to use that as student ID, and it worked pretty much the whole time because they thought you were part of the sports students union or something like that.
I missed a trick there, didn't I?
Missed a trick,
that was me making my proper fake IDs here.
Exactly. So I guess it's a good time to talk about like your ascendancy to the Olympic Games, I guess. So I was looking for your results earlier, and like we're all kind of in the same boat here. Nice pun by myself. But like, so we finished like 6th at the last World Championships before the Olympic Games, which was in March.
Yeah.
And the Olympic Games was in August. So we turned it down to 6th into a 1st. But in a way, like your ascendancy is even more impressive. So like in 2014, didn't make the final of the World Championships. 2015, didn't make the final of the World Championships. 2016, got 10th at the Euros in May at the European Championships, and then somehow managed to turn that around in August to win Olympic gold. Can you talk us through that? Like, ascendancy,
we had my first year on the team was actually my best one of that up until last year. So 2013, I finished 6th and gradually got worse for the next 2 years. I think I had some like, I don't know, 34th or 32nd in 2014, then was literally nearly dead last in the semi in 2015, finished 38th. That was the home world champs. That was absolutely gutting. That was at Lee Valley. I picked up a 50-second penalty. And then the worst part was we had selection for the Olympics like 5 weeks later. So I was like an all-time low. Like all the women's team had made a final. All the C1s had made the final. Kayaks are the only ones that nobody had made the final. So we're like absolutely gutted.
And you're in a system that's tough as well, because if you guys don't make that, you're pretty certain that your program's going to be completely cut the next year as well. Yeah. That's how the UK sports system works. It's like it's just about medals. And you'd already had that kind of disappointment around about 2012 as well, trying to get to the games.
Yeah, so it's literally like, fortunately, Bradley had finished 18th, so he qualified as a spot to race at the Olympics.
So high fives all round for finishing 18th.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, we dodged a bullet there, like, massively. So he finished like 18th, he qualified our spot for Rio. And then it was like, we were going to trials, but he was going in one up because he'd like qualified the spot, so we almost had like a few bonus points. And then fortunately come out the other side of the trials, winning it. And then that was it. It was like straight after Rio, training camps, back and forwards. And then Euros again, 50-second penalty, finished 10th. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest kind of running.
What do you have to do at the trials to?
So it changes every year. This Olympic cycle is different, but that year was like just 3 races at Lee Valley. And then the best.
Who's fastest?
Best 2 runs, best 2 races are 3, and then it's kind of like a 30 points for the win, 27 second, 25 third. And that's kind of like your money points really after that. It drops off.
How many guys are in these trials?
You have to qualify spots. There's normally like 10, 15. And then obviously only one goes in each category. So it's like really cutthroat in that respect.
But you were talking about like the trials being almost pretty much like a year out, I guess, from the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
But like, does that really kind of trouble you a little bit in terms of how you get to the trial in the best shape possible, then also get to the Olympics in the best shape possible? Because that's always the debate within our team, is like, if you have the trials, let's say 4 months before the Olympic Games, you might get the selection, but you might not be in the best place to compete by the time you get to the Games.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite, that's what I was saying. It's 5 weeks after like my worst ever Worlds performance / worst, like this upset of like, normally in an athlete's career in canoe slalom, you only get 1 home Worlds, and that was it. I just thrown it completely. I'd been second in the qualification, so I was like, right, I'm on for a final here. I was paddling really well. I'd had like 5 finals that season, and then literally home one comes, absolutely flopped it, like let the occasion get the better of me, and then 5 weeks later was on the start line to race for the Olympics. So it's like like you say, you're not in the best shape, like mentally and physically, really, because it's coming like stretching out your season even further.
What's the team environment like within the setup that you guys have? Because obviously, like Bradley qualified the spot. Did he ever at any point take a bit of ownership over the fact that he'd qualified the spot and thus that was going to be his Olympic place? Or is it always pretty clear that you've got Olympic trials?
Yeah, it's like you've qualified the spot. I mean, it's nothing. It doesn't mean you're going to go. You just qualified the chance to race at the Olympics. Isn't like you've got to then race for your spot on the team.
But that can create tensions though, because I remember myself and Luis Oliva used to get shipped out to Mexico or Hong Kong or whatever, and basically we were in the B team and Phil was effectively in the A team, and they'd say, "Oh, well done lads, you qualified the A team for the World Championships," and we'd be like, "Well, what does that mean for us? Like we're going to be on holiday through the World Championships or something like that. Like, is there really that good a team culture within your setup that allows you to detach yourself from that?"
I don't know. Asking a hard question. I guess you should get
That's
them,
what you come for, mate. Hard question.
Get them guys in here and see how they feel about it. I guess from where I'm sitting, it's just a case of you are a team of 3, and then you get whittled down to 1, and almost you see you're kind of helping those guys go on to get those performances. Like without me being pushed by the other 2 guys, I wouldn't have gone to win Olympic gold. So it's kind of like you're always having a hand in it. Yeah, it's not your medal, but you've helped in a way. And unfortunately, it just is super cutthroat that it is only one person, and that came about as of like the Aussies didn't have the money when they ran the Olympics in Sydney in 2000. They didn't have the money to put a canoe slalom course on. So they said, we're not going to host canoe slalom at this Olympics. And then like the final hour, they got some money. So they're like, right, we're going to do canoe slalom. But at that point, they'd handed the medals back to the IOC. So then canoe slalom and canoe sprint come into the same brackets. And then they had to go to canoe slalom. So you've got 18 events. Like, how about you have 14 and we'll take 4 medals back? And then obviously the whole numbers thing at the Olympics can't change or whatever. In the sport, I don't know the ins and outs of it exactly. You'll probably know more. The stato you are.
I'm very political.
And then we basically got these 4 medals, but it meant that only one person could then compete each category, whereas before it was always 3. So like it's created this like real high tension, high pressure environment that you've got 3 guys that are normally friends with each other, yet Olympic year comes around and it's like, right, we're racing for that one spot.
So would you still say that the battle for the right to wear the Team GB jersey is almost in a way a bigger competition than actually when you get to the start line of the Olympic Games?
Yes, in a lot of ways, yeah. Because I mean, the 3 guys that the 2 guys I'm racing against could easily go race for a different nation at the Olympics because they're a good enough standard to do so. But that already means that when you sit on that Olympic start line, that you are going to be in a good place to win a medal as well, which is quite nice. And
so talk me through like just a quick question on the sport. I always feel like track cycling's in a little bit of a precarious place because of the expense the expense that it brings in making a velodrome. So an Olympic standard velodrome is about £10 million, something like that. I guess you guys are almost a little bit more on the cusp with that because a slalom course is pretty expensive. Arguably, by some nations, wouldn't be used that much, depending on the culture of sport in that country. Like, do you have confidence in the system going forward that that's going to be an event that's always going to be there, or is it always feel like you're on the edge?
No, definitely, we're always on the cusp. Like, obviously, with the cuts and losing sports and gaining sports, like we're always kind of one of those that's highlighted that could leave because of the expense. For example, Lee Valley was £26 million, which is a huge amount. But then again, if you look at the velodrome in Lee Valley, they're all under Lee Valley kind of authority. And the Whitewater Centre makes enough money to prop up the velodrome.
That's not true.
Nobody uses the velodrome. Nobody uses the velodrome.
No, that's not true. No.
Because like with a raft, you can have like 8 people on a raft. You can have eight rafts in the air, and it makes you like a real good amount of money. But with the track cycling, they limit the numbers that can get on the track, obviously for safety.
Mate, you're really upsetting one of my business plans, which is like corporate track days. It's like, we can get everyone on. It's a safe time. There's no traffic. It's
you can get up to like 25 people on.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Joe Clarke. Think about that.
I was just thinking like 8. What's 8? 8 is 64, right? So that's nearly like 2.5 times as many.
Yeah, but you've forgotten to mention how expensive the pumps are to that.
Oh, what, £400 for the hour?
That's a lot of money.
That's if you're buying it, but obviously the cost of the centre is about 170.
Let's not get bogged down.
So let's talk some figures and see who can make some more money.
Niche sport costs the taxpayer. Let's not.
I'm just going to put it out there. Rafting, if you want a corporate day, is probably the way forward.
Are you leading any?
Huh? Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do so.
Have you got a coaching qualification?
Yeah. I have. Yeah.
What level?
Just the lowest level. My knowledge far exceeds that, though.
All right, fair enough. Right, so let's go back to 2016, and I really want to like pin down on this point where, like, you know, in May of 2016, you got 10th at Euros. How does that turn around into gold at the Olympic Games?
Very much similar to you guys, that it is literally you're pinpointing that one event in the year. So we always talk about Olympic year. You can do nothing beforehand, but as long as you're ready for that Olympic Games. So the tape was literally completely towards competing in Rio. So everything was like training camps, like everything was catered for, like flights are already booked to try and look at like less jet lag and all those kind of things to give us maximize the time on the course so it feels like your second home, but also to obviously performing at the Olympics. And
do you set up the gates in London similar to Rio?
Yeah, we changed the configuration of the course in London to be as close to Rio as possible. Yeah. So that really helped, and everything was just basically about competing at the Olympics. Like, and I did one World Cup that year as well, and did terribly in that as well. But we have 2 rounds of qualification now. Before it used to be like everybody's compulsory 2 runs. Yeah. Now it's the first round qualification, top 30 go through, and then the rest of the field have to race off for 10 spots. And I found myself in the second round of qualification. And then exactly the same thing happened in the Olympics. I had to rely on my second run in the qualification to get through because I had a 50-second penalty. So these kind of things set me up almost perfectly for the scenario I was going to undercome in August to compete.
And was this the World Cup where you got disqualified?
No, this wasn't the World Cup.
I'd like to know about the World Cup where you got disqualified. How do you get disqualified from
I knew this was going to come up.
I haven't even heard about that.
Right, after I've done my research.
He's dug deep for this one.
You get quality journalism on podcast. Clash.
Doesn't even know the name of his own show.
Yeah, no.
Basically, racing in Prague, I think it's 2015, and won the World Cup. Across the finish line, was like, didn't know I'd won at that point. I was like 6th, 7th, 8th or something down the course. So there's plenty more guys after me. Weighed the boat, and the boat weight at the time, I can't remember if it was 8 kilos or 9 kilos. Either way, it was like 8.12 or something like that. So it was over, or 9.12. So it's over what it should be. But naturally, the boat's a bit wet anyway.
So just to pull on that, so in cycling we've got a minimum weight limit, but in kayak you've got a maximum weight limit.
No, minimum.
So
I had to do minimum of 8 or 9. The rule changed for Rio, but I wasn't sure if it was 2015 it changed as well.
Coincidentally, we've also heard that you know nothing about boats or mechanics or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have from an undisclosed source.
Oh, right, okay.
I heard you're very particular about your boats, but you don't like maintaining them or repairing them.
Well, who does? Do you
well,
like?
You know, well,
the only person I've actually heard that likes doing it is Carl Evans.
He
absolutely loves messing with his bike.
I mean, don't turn this on us. Phil knows nothing about his bike, but that's not important right now. You're the one being interviewed.
All right.
Well, anyway, so after
the boat went too light, so the boat was the right weight. They said, "Oh, can you go through to the media area and wait for the rest of the competitors to come down?" As it happened, there's a guy, a Czech guy in 2nd and 4th, and then I'd been in the mix zone for like 15 minutes at this point. The boat was all fine. And boat was on the rack. I hadn't watched it or anything. I was like just enjoying the mix zone, kind of seeing myself rise through the ranks. Well, just staying in the top spot.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, Mr. Clarke, could you come through to this area, please? Like, your boat's too light. I was like, we've already already weighed it, but I didn't know at the time there's a bit of paper you should sign. And that basically will then mean that the boat's been weighed at that weight. You sign it and then they can't do anything post. So went back through and the boat was, that's what it was. It was 8 kilos because it said 7.98 kilos. And I was like, no, it was fine like 10, 15 minutes ago. No, it's 7.98. At that point, can't really do anything. It's been proven. But it's not one of those things that your boat technically can be weighed bone dry. And most of the time you always weigh it straight off the water. So I'd weighed it before the competition, weighed it after, and it was all good. But it's kind of bone dry at this point, being in the sun for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then, I was absolutely gutted about it. Like, got disqualified. So that was my first World Cup win. And that was the only race I'd won up until like last year. So I was absolutely good.
Oh, okay. So that makes the story a little bit different.
Olympics, since the Olympics.
Yeah, but it makes the story a little bit different though, because it makes that like ascendancy a bit more like altogether, I guess, doesn't it? Yeah,
there's definitely performances. I mean, the performances on paper we've probably seen on Wikipedia.
I have researched. I don't use Wikipedia because I'm a proper journalist, but
they probably don't paint the full.
What do I use? Fakepedia.
But yeah, probably don't paint the full picture of how I was kind of coming up in the sport and progressing. But I mean, is what it is. People can read into it as they want to.
No, fair enough.
That's
well,
nice to be here explaining my own story.
I fully take the stance of the international body, which is called the ICF, and think that Joe Clarke measured his boat wrong. And mate, you should take more care of your equipment next time.
I know, I've literally got this now like paranoia that I'll weigh my boat like 10 times pre-competition. And even when I know it's like half a kilo over, I just keep checking it just to make sure. Like the Olympics is like the complete paranoia. It was like, right, wait, over and over again.
Did you go into the Olympics thinking I could win here?
I knew that if I could make the final and do a good run, it was obviously an opportunity to medal. But I mean, it's hard to say I'm going to win in canoe slalom with the inconsistencies we talked about before, and obviously not knowing what anybody else might do, because a lot of sports have like a baseline of what's expected. For example, like 100 meters, like right, if I do a 9.6, I'm probably going to win. But in canoe slalom, the day I won was 88.53. The next day it could have been 86, and the day after that could have been 91. Like it's so depends on people's performance on the day. So it's a case of if I go down and do something that I know I'm capable of doing and happy with, then that's got to come out the other side with a head held high, happy.
I'm going to stick my neck out again here and say something that might not be true, but hopefully it is. They had a few issues with the venue before the Olympics, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I got that right. So we're talking about like pumps and shit. They weren't working.
Well, it's in one of the training camps. They never paid the electricity bill, so the electricity just cut them off, basically. Just
really?
Yeah.
Fuck! I didn't realize they were that close to the wire.
We also had like 2 days that were just like no training.
Because the pool got the diving pool got a lot more coverage because that went green.
Yeah.
But I guess the kayak kind of played second fiddle to that one in that instance because it wasn't as obvious that the pumps weren't running. But how did you deal with that in preparation? Like
that was like on one of the training camps prior to the games. So it wasn't actually the games time. But it was just one of those things. It was just like, all right, well, let's just go to the beach for 2 days and just, you can't really do anything at that point. Like we can't, unless you tried to contact the electricity board and pay ourselves, then there's nothing we could really do.
Nottingham Mark II.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time we went to China and we got our bikes impounded by customs?
Yeah.
Have I said this before in podcast?
I think you did.
Oh, like, well, I won't.
They got impounded for like 5 days, 6 days. There's nothing we could do. Had to train on the watt bike, didn't we?
Yeah, but then they took the watt bikes away.
Yeah. So we didn't have any training until race day, really. Pre-race day. But
anyway, so the lead up to Rio went a lot better though. Like when you were actually there.
Yeah, until we went to actually look at the demos. The warm-up lake, because it was so hot, was just losing water. So it's kind of rising and falling, the lake was. And then all of a sudden, like they said, it's going to be like that for a race. And all of a sudden they just pumped a load of water into the lake, which then changed the whole like bottom feature. It was like more of a pour over drop. And everybody just said like, we have literally trained so hard to like learn this course, and that feature is completely different. Oh no, that's how it's going to be. And then everybody's like going to bed like, right, we've got to deal with that in the morning. And then we rocked up at the venue and it was exactly the same as it had been. So somebody had obviously sucked some water back out of the course and made it back to how it was. So it was like one of those things that I feel like I'm quite good with dealing with things in my stride, because I'm pretty laid back and not too organised. So I was like, oh, well, if it is what it is kind of thing. And then obviously rocked up and there was nothing to worry about. It was exactly as we trained on. So
talk us through the big day then. You went through round one, semi-final, all that kind of stuff. So I guess like genuinely the first point when I started to believe that we could win was when we took the Olympic record in the qualifying round. Like Phil had done this whole like oracle thing in the village before where he was like, you know what, boys, we're going to win it. And we were like, yeah, whatever. But like when did you actually start to like solidly believe that it was a possibility?
Probably when I crossed the finish line.
Really?
No, it's like,
because I have watched that video. Like you're talking shit about me like not watching the videos. I've seen the video when you cross that line, and it's like it's pure euphoria, because it's like it's not only that you've won, but it's the fact that it was so unexpected.
Yeah, it's probably more so because like we talked about the world champs in Lee Valley, the world champs in America when I finished whatever it was terribly, and all these races that I've been picking up 50-second penalties, showing pace, but 50-second penalties costing me good performances. That I'd gone down and done a race without a 50-second penalty. And then it was like, right, well, that's kind of what I'm capable of, and it's nice to prove that to yourself, and all that hard work kind of coming out in one run.
So can we go into that? Can we go into that feeling a little bit of like? So you talked earlier when you were in a competition and you looked up and you didn't really know if you'd won. But obviously when you cross that line in Rio, you know immediately you've won. Yeah. What was the difference there?
Well, no, I actually crossed the line, knew I'd won a bronze medal at that point. The celebration you see is, that's just a bronze, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I had to sit at the bottom and watch two guys, so quite clearly you haven't watched it.
I've watched your highlights. I haven't watched the other guys. To me, they're nothing. To you, you're the main man
at the bottom, and just had to watch two guys come down basically. And then there's this thing as well they've started putting on is like there's a star that comes on the scoreboard as if there's like an error, or an area that they might deem there might be an error on. They'll rewatch it on like on a screen inside and double check the result is the correct kind of result for a penalty. So this like star came on my result, and like my whole family was like, what's going on?
It's the boat.
That was also like the automatic worry was no, it's not the boat again. Not again. But yeah, it kind of went off after a few seconds. That was kind of like heart in your mouth moment gone, and then it was a case of like, right, the next guy crossed down behind me. And then it was like the kind of guy that was the guy to beat world champion the previous year, Yuri Priskovic. And he had a 2-second penalty, actually went behind me. So it's like, wow, I've just won the Olympics, like dream come true almost.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. How did you deal with, so this is the point where Phil and I come into the story because that's where we met for the first time.
Yeah.
We probably under different circumstances. Because everyone's on that Olympic high. Like, did you feel that pure like euphoria as well? Because I talk a lot about like, the fact when you win the games, like you can almost get like stabbed in the back and like you'd be like, fuck it, I'm Olympic champion, who cares? Were you on that kind of same level?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just everything that's happening. Like you could wake up in the morning with the worst hangover and still feel absolutely amazing. It's just like, oh, I've got the medal, it's all good.
Did you turn up to the interviews drunk?
The first night
did you turn up at all?
I did turn up. The first night basically did it like was like really good. So the media team said like, please do not go mad because they knew what I was kind of like.
Was this after Hounslow and them won? Did you win after them?
It was the day before, so I went to watch them. So it was like, please don't get mad because you've got them racing tomorrow, and you've got a lot of media in the morning. So I was like, okay,
because I did media with Hounslow and David Florence. Yeah, and they turned up drunk.
The first thing is you're doing it all wrong. All right. So I didn't show up to the media thing because I was drunk and hungover, and also I didn't go and see any other sport at all because I never got up early enough. Like, what are you playing at? You're putting us all to shame here.
I know. Sorry, guys.
This is like when we asked you earlier, like, what's your worst story from school? And you're like, oh, sometimes I talk back to the teacher.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. So I'm not a badass.
Not like Phil with
sorry, I'm not being smoking.
So, I think we've got a few stories from the nights out. Did you actually have a night out with Phil?
Did we?
I think I did, but I can't remember much of it.
I can't remember anything.
Because we didn't get a night out together, so...
You told that story.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell it again because it still hurts.
Was that when you were asleep?
Well, no, because like...
And he wanted to go out, what was it?
No. So like... I think
it was the other way around.
I just finished the games and Phil was like,
yeah.
Oh, you don't believe I've been so tired. I can't go out, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, have a few pints and you'll be fine. And so I wanted to go out with my teammate. Jason had already gone home.
He didn't go out at all.
He had other plans though.
Did he?
Big plans at that point.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's got a baby now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty obvious.
He's got a home gym though.
He has got
a home gym. Some big plans. He had big plans, got a home gym.
Has he got a 1,500 quid barbecue though, Phil?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, that's an in-joke because there's a podcast yet to come out, but anyway. So I wanted to go out with my teammate. Obviously, we'd won the Olympic Games and it'd been quite a surprise, Olympic record, all that kind of stuff. And he said, no, I'm too tired.
And that sounds like Rich Hounslow all over.
Does it?
No, he said like, I've done this whole Olympic thing before. Like, I'm just going to have a little rest. Like, I'm going to do like 3 nights, then rest a night or 2, then do another 3 nights. And me and Dave Florence were just like, we're going out every night. Like, literally.
He was an old man at that time.
No, because I remember Hounslow being a staple. Like, he was always there when I was out. Yeah,
but like he probably took a few nights off. You weren't literally attached to him at all times.
I was too busy working and getting disqualified from the Keelan. Anyway, so that I guess that's the Olympics covered. You come home and like things have moved pretty quick for you.
Wait a minute.
Well, hold on. Sorry, I thought you had a few stories. I was trying to line you up for a few stories.
What about the story that you woke up at Ronaldo's flat?
I didn't actually wake up at his flat.
The Brazilian Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
The real Ronaldo.
Oh, right, okay.
No, we're at some rooftop party where the swimmers organised. It was I can't remember the hotel. I've been there since as well. Super nice hotel, rooftop party, swimming pool, everything, and was like with Rich Hounslow rocked up, and it was just like everything was free. We just couldn't believe it, and just It was amazing. Then saw Ronaldo and like hey Ronaldo. He didn't turn around. I was like, this is embarrassing. And then his bodyguard at the time like just turns around and goes, it's not Ronaldo. I was like, yeah, it is. But like just as you do, always wearing the medal at all times. So just kind of like flung it over his shoulder and he just grabbed it and went, what the fuck? And I was like, he turned around. He's like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, well, it's like 4 a.m. He was like,
now hold on, the tone of voice is important here.
Oh man, so I'm not doing that. He was like, no, he was just like,
no, is he like, what are you doing tonight? Or was he like, what are you doing tonight?
No, he was like, what are you doing tonight? Like,
oh, okay.
He wasn't trying to, he got plenty of females in tow, don't worry about that.
Well, I don't know, like, yeah, anyway.
So yeah, he basically said like, what are you doing now? Like, do you want to come back from like a house party? And I was like, sounds good. So we just like piled out of his the club into like this big limousine thing he had and just cruised on down the beach to his kind of penthouse suite and played pool and stuff. And then in the morning he ordered like breakfast to his apartment because it was like 7 a.m. We're still going strong. And
lads.
And then these chicks started tucking into the breakfast, and I just remember him saying, "No, the champ eats first." I just couldn't believe it. What? And I was like, "No, you girls go ahead. No, seriously, you crack on." Like, and that was like one of the funny memories of Rio for me.
All right, so I'm gonna stick my neck out probably for the final time in this podcast, but like. I've been doing this circuit of like corporate stuff for a little while, and like one of the stories I like to tell is that apparently, and it's you I'm referencing to in this.
Christ.
But apparently you were in a nightclub and you were swinging the Olympic medal around your head.
Yeah.
And the band snapped.
No, the pin come out of the band.
Let's call it
same.
Yeah, I told you this happened. We were talking about this on the train because I saw you the day after you won gold, and your medal was fucked on one side.
Yeah, I don't think I was swinging it. I can't remember what I was doing. But no, it wasn't swinging it. It was just around my neck, and I was just jumping up and down, going crazy. And the next thing I'll know is the thingy come out, the pin come out, and it was literally just rolling across the floor. It was the most. I
told you it was true.
It was the most sobering moment of my entire life. Like literally, a club packed full of Brazilians, and this gold medal just rolling like a wagon wheel down across the floor, and just people like standing on it and stuff. I was like, no, like just like.
You're lucky
like,
it didn't smash.
I was like Moses parting the Red Sea of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just looking for it, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, they do smash if you drop them from that height. Like they can shatter completely.
Really?
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky, I guess.
Well, pretty lucky. I mean, the manufacturing defects didn't get into that one, obviously. So you had the Olympic experience. You went to Ronaldo's house. Missed out on that one at that time, anyway. But and then you came back to the UK. Pretty big welcome. You had the whole like Heathrow welcome, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hometown welcome as well.
The hometown welcome. Yeah. I'm glad we've got to this. I love the hometown welcome.
Got carried down the street in the canoe.
No, so I went down the town in like an open top, like old school Rolls Royce.
Not in the photos I've seen.
And then I was carried through the park in a kayak.
Like a Pharaoh down the Nile. You were carried, or not even down the Nile, down Stoke-on-Trent town centre.
Stone, mate. Come on.
Close enough.
But yeah, that was pretty surreal because I got basically like shortly afterwards it said, we're going to organise this homecoming for you. And I was like, okay, cool. And it like kind of just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, that's an alarm. Sorry. Just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like really just like anxious about it because I was like, it's literally gonna be so embarrassing because they were like, oh, we'll just do it in the park, like in the canoe. And I was like, that sounds all right because like if a few people turn out, it'll be fine. And they're like, no, we're gonna do the whole of the high street. And I was like, oh god, there's not gonna be anywhere near enough people to fill the high street. Like it'll be like 50 people at the top and then like a tumbleweed just going down the high street. Like, but it was incredible. Like 10,000 people turned out. It was like a bank holiday. It was actually sunny, which never happens. And yeah, just the turnout was just crazy. Like we had like a big stage. I went on there. I felt like a rock star going on the stage and speaking to people. It was just so surreal, man.
We need to do a quick shout out. If you Google Joe Clarke canoe parade, you will see endless photos of Joe Clarke being carried in his canoe down Stone High Street. It's beautiful. And there's my favourite picture is where you've got this little Union Jack flag and you're looking so uncomfortable sitting in this kayak being carried by these 4 like burly blokes.
Yeah, well, it was like the whole high street because the car was literally it was like getting paraded down by some like scouts or something like that had like a rope around it, so it was like almost like security guards that were like saying don't stand too close.
Yeah.
And it was like started off and I thought I'll be like 2 minutes down, but it's like literally like this car was going down so slow, so I think I was like waving like the Queen out the back. Like it lasted for like 20 minutes, the whole thing. But I mean, the whole town's like, I think it's like 15,000 or something crazy, and like 10,000 people turned out. It was just incredible. It was amazing.
Pretty popular guy, eh?
Yeah.
What can I say?
You still getting stopped for photos in the?
I do actually.
Come on! No, you're not good.
When I got to
No.
We have a theory that like basically our coach, if Phil was struggling for motivation, he'd pay someone in the cafe to say like, "Oh, you Phil Hines? Have you got vlogs?" And then like offer to sign some shit.
The weirdest thing is we're like in Spain and like in the middle of nowhere, like a cafe. And I walk up to Jason and ask Jason Kenny, like greatest Olympian, like equal to Chris, ask him like if he can take a photo with me and the guy. He doesn't know who Jason is. So
well, you're pretty
so
big time
famous,
as well,
mate.
mate. Anyway,
so let's
the vlogs. Let's hear more about how
coach paying them guys.
Yeah, let's
nice.
hear. So you still get stopped in Waitrose?
No, it's like we have like a Morrison's in town, and it's like just the little kids in the town will recognise me. And you just hear them go, well, let's Joe Clarke, like to their mum, or whatever. And then
so you're hearing the little whispers of kids in the supermarket saying,
because they're literally like thinking in the middle of the street, but they're literally next to you, like whilst they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just like, do you mind if I stop and get? Yeah.
How do you deal with
I think we need to go there to actually see.
I know. I would so that's the next podcast. We're going to Morrison's in Stone, and we're just gonna follow around like an aisle behind just to see if this is actually true.
Right, come be my guest.
Fair enough. Like
that's like I only go home like once every 6 months or so.
Well, Phil knows I'm very famous in Scotland.
Yeah. Callum on a train journey up to the tennis game. We
went to an Andy Murray exhibition event, so I brought him as my guest, being a nice friend.
And then there's like Callum was telling me all the way up, "Oh, I'm really famous in Scotland," and he actually believed it. And like the sport minister of Scotland was speaking to him, and Callum was like giving me the eye, saying like, "Oh,
he knows.
I'm the big dog here." And after
Scotland's most successful Olympian from the 2016 Games.
Yeah, after the conversation was finished, she like literally asked, "Oh, what's your name again?"
No, she didn't.
She did, 100%.
I'd had a few more drinks by that time than you, but I remember that clearly.
No, she didn't.
Anyway, so we'll change
the topic. So what is it you do again?
Yeah. Anyway, and then we met.
At least she didn't ask you for a drink, like a servant or something.
No, servant. I think that's right now. Waiter.
Wow, the sport minister might have a servant.
Mate, you're living the champagne lifestyle there. And then we had the Wimbledon experience. We met each other again there. You almost didn't get in because you were trying to pull a Lewis Hamilton and think that you were bigger than Wimbledon.
Man, I wore no socks. I thought I was legit, but then they come with some nice purple and green socks.
Mate, you can't go to the Royal Box with no socks.
Well, I just wanted some Wimbledon socks and not pay for them, so it's perfect.
I think Dewar was the same, wasn't he? Dewar.
Did he have socks?
No, he didn't have any socks. He had a different pair. They come out the gift shop with these two socks with like a price on them and just handed them and said, "Just go put these on, please."
Wait, I got told off for taking my jacket off during that dinner. Do you remember? It was like sweltering hot, and they were like, "You can't take your jacket off with it."
Probably because I saw your pale arms, mate. Your Scottish pale arms,
mate. Have you seen my tan? It's unbelievable. Anyway, but I feel bad watching Wimbledon now because I realised we had like the best seats in the house, but I was too smashed to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, did you see two balls going back and forwards?
I think we watched like 15 minutes of tennis, and then we just sat in the bar and went through like 15 bottles of white wine or something like that.
It was delicious white wine, to be fair, and the M&Ms were like purple and green.
I just remember I was like, the afternoon tea was like out of this world as well. Like the scones with cream and jam were just.
So boys, obviously after tired, you've got a fiance. Phil, you don't have a fiance yet, but if there's an invitation going after Tokyo, I'll happily take you up on it, to be honest.
Come where?
The Royal Box at Wimbledon.
Oh, right.
That's what we're talking about. How have you forgotten all that?
I need to win. I need to win the gold medal. I haven't even thought this far yet.
Mate, you did track cycling. It's a given, isn't it?
No, you need to work hard for this.
Given. Come off it.
You need a 210 squat for 6, don't you?
At least. I've seen them on YouTube, mate.
Okay, not Instagram.
Yeah, well, one of them. Yeah, anyway. But things like, so people often say that like, you have that Olympic high, you come back and things don't really change. But for you, like it actually did in a couple of ways. So like you got carried in a kayak down your hometown.
You got yourself a personalized number plate.
Yeah.
You got yourself a fiance.
Yeah.
You got yourself a dog.
Yeah, these aren't things you just get, like just, I'll have one of them. I'll have one of them.
Well, no, it's like, stuff did change for you. I think it's like you're kind of like bucking the trend.
It all happened like in the space of a year, didn't it?
Not quite, but like 2.5 years. But yeah, that's basically from then till now. Is the whole thing's a work in progress.
Have you got like a 2-year plan or something?
Well, I'm teaching the dog how to do tricks. You know what I mean? So it's a work in progress.
When's the wedding?
12th of September 2020. So anybody that wants to do photography, I'm giving this a plug now. Photography, we need a photographer, videographer.
Mate, you're pretty big. I thought Hello Magazine would be all over that.
Well, I'll try and for that as well, obviously.
Oh, okay, yeah. So full of shit. I love it.
Fake it until you make it, mate.
Fake it until you
I don't actually think he's joking with the Hello Magazine.
If it's not Hello, it's okay.
Mate, he'll be all over it as well. He'll be like, right, I'm going to get married if Hello's coming.
Absolutely not. It's like
I can see you over that.
He'll be on the front cover with a fag, wouldn't he?
Are you looking for any ambassadors?
Yeah.
I just seen you got a new car. You got a new car recently, eh?
Yeah, because Skoda.
Oh, nice. Is that sponsored or?
Yeah, sponsored.
Give him a shout out, mate. Eh?
Skoda, Lucas, Stockport.
So I take it when you were ill as a child,
buy your Skodas from them.
Basically, a doctor said to you, get a Skoda and have these antibiotics and it will save your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on you. That's a good story.
Life-saving.
And a few fags.
A few fags.
Yeah, I was still terrible at the time. I wasn't actually 8, I was 10 or 11.
Oh, that's absolutely fine then, isn't it? Why wait so long?
The final story before we talk on about post-Olympics is one I'm reluctant to bring up. But Phil, you want to take over on the... are you looking for any ambassadors?
Oh yeah, do you remember the... was it Homecoming, GB Homecoming?
Ah, yeah.
And Callum used to go around that little whole thing, just ask everyone, you guys looking for any ambassadors? Do you remember that? When you was like asking the Aldi guys for...
I know, yeah. He's literally wearing his little name badge as well. That's who he was.
No, I brought this up because I've got some points to say on this. Like, I didn't do that.
You 100% did.
No.
Mate, you had a few beers and you're like, hi, I'm Callum Skinner. I won a gold and silver at the Olympics. You looking for any ambassadors?
Scotland's most successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You found out that the ID... the partnership guys over there. You went straight over.
You were literally sniffing out the important people in the room.
Aldi have been good to me so far. Shout out to Aldi. Thank you very much.
Theresa May did a speech there as well.
Aldi?
No, in that Homecoming.
Did she?
In the.
I must have been drunk for that as well. Like, it was just a bit of a blur that whole kind of time.
Oh,
Too
yeah.
busy
How
at the
convenient, though. How convenient they forgot about the ambassadors.
No, I remember that bit. I was...
you're admitting it now.
Well, that's before...
You remember that bit now?
Well, no, but that...
It's come back to you all of a sudden.
Well, no, it might not have because... I got locked out of the BC Instagram account because they thought I was getting too drunk. So they basically gave me the login details to the British Cycling Instagram account. And we had these like parade through Manchester, all this kind of stuff. And literally about 2/3 of the way through, I'm locked out. Nothing I could do.
Well, no wonder when we sat in the pub prior to the parade and sung a decent amount of pints. And
there was no booze. Like, this is a point for the BOA. If you come to the homecoming parade, I don't want soft drinks. And you don't want soft drinks.
No, I don't.
Do you want? You probably do, but just so you can get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
He just wants soft drinks and 20 Benson.
Exactly.
There are other cigarette brands available.
So I think we covered over the hype of the games. I'm pretty sure everyone's thinking like this podcast is a bit of a broken record about what's happened in the past. But anyway, it's fun to relive it. But I think one of the good things, or one of the things that's been quite interesting as well, is like not only did your life change in terms of like, you know, fiance, dog, being carried in a kayak, but you
still
also
feel surreal talking about it, yeah.
But your results have improved since then as well. Like, you're talking like 2018, 2 World Cup podiums, 2019, you've just come off the back of a home World Cup win as well. Like, you've raised your game and you've kept it there.
Yeah, I mean, I think winning the Olympics gave me that belief that I was actually good. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, I think people need that one breakthrough result to then go on to achieve more. And I think as it happened, it was the Olympics was my like big result. Normally people have a Euros or a World Cup medal prior to, but that was like my big result that kind of defined me at the time. It's quite nice to actually back it up with more results now. 2 World Cup wins since that, and yeah, looking for more basically.
Because I actually read quite recently in the Telegraph that you don't want to be just the guy that's known for winning Olympic medals.
Yeah.
Can you go into a bit more depth on that?
I don't even read that myself, but
what are you trying to achieve?
No, hold on. I'll give you the exact quote.
Okay. All right, it's twisted.
I found it. Yeah. The internet was a bit slow, but I've got it now. I don't want to be the guy who just wins 1 medal. So you're talking about like a legacy off the back of this.
Not a legacy. I just don't want to be that like there's quite a lot of it happens quite regularly in canoeing. People come in, win Olympic gold or an Olympic medal, and then you don't see them again ever. Podium at a Worlds or a World Cup or anything, and that's like that's not to be that guy. I think there's a lot more in my career for me. Obviously, 2 Olympic golds would be quite nice, 2 Olympic medals at least. But eyes on winning a World Champs, winning Euros and stuff. I'd want to be that guy that wins all 3 titles, really, like Worlds, Euros, and Olympics.
But I guess so. Like,
not asking for much, right?
To tackle the elephant in the room, like I kind of retired thinking like I can't get better than this. I've done Olympic gold, Olympic silver, Olympic record, very famous in Scotland, and then I thought, like, what can I do from here? And for me personally, I didn't see the attraction in like the World Championships or the European Championships. It's probably also because I was starting to go like a bag of shit as well and had other issues on the go. But like, it's interesting to hear from my perspective, like why you still have that drive within you to continue to be successful in that sport.
Because I think Rio was just a start for me. I certainly hadn't reached my peak. I think that was like the starting point for me. There's much more to happen after that, and I've kind of showed that in the results so far. Currently ranked 2nd in the world. Like a fraction off first, which is like, I think going to Rio I was like 13th in the world maybe or something like that. So it's like massive step up. That shows consistency because that's like 5 results over 2 seasons that kind of come into the world rankings. So just feel like the chapter's not finished yet. There's definitely more in the tank, and I feel like whilst there's still more to give, or not more to give because I'm giving everything I can on a daily basis, but when there's more to achieve and I'm still got the drive and hunger to go out and get it, then why stop?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of, if I can keep performing and the hunger and drive's there for more, then I'll keep going. As soon as that kind of fire burns out, almost a bit like you really, if it kind of just fizzles out, then that's it. If even if it's not 2 years into an Olympic cycle, I'm happy to call it a day, because at the end of the day, once the enjoyment's gone, I don't think you can push yourself to the extremes you need to get those results.
Yeah, I think for me it was a bit like looking around before the games. I thought, like, inside I kind of thought I want this more than anyone else. And then after the games I kind of thought I could take it or leave it, I guess. Yeah. Like, I want to try new things, I guess. And
a lot of guys get like an Olympic blues, don't they? Like,
they do, yeah.
I definitely got that as well.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I was like coming back.
Mate, you got carried in a kayak.
Mate, but then you come back, I was living in a cottage with like a few other people. And like you come back and it's just like the room's like the house is a bit damp, a bit crap. You know what I mean? Like you come back from like living the life, like going out and pretty much every night out's paid for you, and then you come back to like London prices of drinks and have a few doubles and it's like 20 quid and you're like, oh, this is reality, is it? Like come back to the house, like it's just a bit crap.
I was living on Callum's floor for like a week.
Yeah, he was homeless.
Yeah.
like literally, like he had these like 4 cushions from the sofa and he was sleeping on them. And I've never seen a guy more content in all my life. He was like, yeah, this is fine. I'm just going to live here for the rest of my life. Eat all your food. And just
I think it's because our house got burgled and everything got stolen out of there. So all my cycling kits, fake watches, fake Oakley at the time.
At the time, yeah.
All got stolen. PlayStation got stolen. And the landlord didn't repair the back door. So it was just like a
free for all.
Yeah, anyone could walk in. So I just stayed there flat and but didn't really bother about doing anything about it. So I just... stayed at your floor.
By far and away my favourite story when you finally crashed down from the Olympic dream after London 2012 was when you went into... Can I tell this?
I don't know what you're going to say.
When you went into Vodka Revolution.
No.
Can I not say it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I can say it. So you went into Vodka Revs and you went... So there's like all the academy boys with him.
Yeah. I was 19 at the time.
Yeah, so all the under 23s were with him and they were like... this guy could be the real deal, I guess. Like he's been papped by the mail and all this kind of stuff. He's not been quite carried in a canoe, but he seems like a big deal. And he was like, don't worry, boys, I'll take care of this tab. So he walks up to the bar and like no word of a lie, he's like, so she's like, oh, that'll be 50 quid or something like that. Yeah. It was Fairfield Revs. And she was like, and she came back and went, and then she was like, yeah, it'll be 50 quid. And he was like, no, you don't understand.
So embarrassing.
He was like, no, you don't understand. I'm an Olympic champion.
Oh no!
and then okay, so that it gets worse. And then she went,
all right, 65
and then she was like, "Are you?" Well, that's 50 quid still. And he was like, "No, you don't understand." So he gets out his phone, and then he thinks
that didn't happen. Then
it did. And then he was like, "What's the best picture I can show to prove that I'm an Olympic champion?" And he gets a picture of him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and says, "Look, I am actually Olympic champion." And then the best line yet to come is that she turns to him and says, You don't look like an Olympic champion to me.
I know it hurts. It hurts so much.
Have you been back since and said, look, I'm double Olympic champion. I want my drinks for free this time?
She actually gave me a discount after that.
No, she did. She did.
She felt sorry for me.
No, that's not the story, because they had to move us from the table we were sat in because it was reserved. So they gave us some free shots to move.
Is this what happened?
Yeah, maybe someone told you otherwise, but that was the real reason.
Maybe someone threw a tenner in for you. You felt sorry. I just give that guy a tenner.
Because we came from London and you went to all these nightclubs, Mahikis and stuff around here, and you got everything
That's
for free.
That's what I'm saying. It's
everything
nuts,
for free, and then
like,
you come next day. You come back to Manchester and just no one cares. No one cares at the Olympic champ.
So how'd you get yourself out of that damp cottage?
Don't know. I upgraded rooms when one of the housemates moved out because he retired.
Well,
so
I didn't mean literally the damp cottage. I meant like the Olympic blues.
No, that's what I'm saying. So then
okay.
I think there's I think there's like things like the Manchester homecoming and stuff like that was like a bit afterwards. So it was quite good to look forward to like seeing you guys again and just like having a good laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like, people obviously must be feeling similar things. Like everybody kind of comes back and it's like reality all of a sudden. Some people get more attention than others, like media wise and different things. So I think I was just so like just enjoying the moment and just enjoying just going out and stuff and enjoying myself that way, that like the amount of opportunities I missed out and stuff. Like I remember being the GQ Awards, they messaged me saying like, would you like to come along and stuff, and like just like, oh, whatever, don't really care about that. And then all of a sudden I like wrote back and said, yeah, I'd love to come along. And they were like, okay, cool. And then they put me up in like the Mondrian Hotel in London, like this suite that looked out over the Thames, and like the most crazy night.
He's so commercial.
You
this
met
guy.
Casey Neistat there.
Did you?
Yeah, I met Casey Neistat.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was like probably one of the coolest guys I met post. And like had a room in the Savoy, like was just like jumping all over the bed and stuff. It was just so funny. Like just couldn't like give a shit basically.
That's the best story. He was jumping all over the bed.
No, he was just filming a vlog in the room, like just didn't. Yeah, I mean, it was just
yeah, he doesn't give a shit, does he?
Yeah, literally didn't give a shit. Like they put him up in like this room that's probably like $4,000 a night or something stupid, and he was just like jumping all over the bed, like just taking the piss. Like he had this whiskey that they'd made just for him. Like it was like 150-year-old whiskey or something stupid, and he was just like, it tastes like shit. Like and just like, do you want some? And they're like, just like cheers, and then basically just poured it down the sink.
No.
Like, sorry, as a Scottish guy, it's gonna hurt, isn't it? Pouring
I'm
whiskey.
not actually that into whiskey, but you know.
But it was just
I pretend
like
to be. I'm like, yeah, that's terrible. Amber nectar. But so I guess like what's next for you on the horizon? You're about 2/3 of the way of the season. The season.
So on Sunday I fly to Spain for a 2-week training camp, and that's on the World Championships venue, which is also our last of our Olympic selections, which is the last weekend in September. So we're kind of working towards that. We've got one race in Prague, my favourite place again.
Yeah. Good
a
skills.
World Cup as well.
Accurate skills.
So we're going to get the boat the right weight this time.
As I've said before, I very much stand with the
ICF. Yeah,
ICF. Yeah, that's the one.
I'll help you out then. Save you any more digging.
I it's like the internet's not quick enough to find that one
tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think like from all of us, we wish you all the best and what you got coming up. It's clear you're still on the up, I guess, and like Tokyo looks stronger than ever, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've had 2 selection races so far for the games. I've won both of them, so hopefully I can continue that form into the Worlds and hopefully win another medal or win a medal at the Worlds, and then that'll not be the one-man band.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Have you got any? If people want to follow you on social, have you got any shout-outs?
Any sponsors you want to shout out as well
that you haven't mentioned so far?
No, I mean, no, I don't.
I'd
love to, but nice.
Go on.
I mean, what is like? Joe Clarke. Joe Clarke K1 is my socials, so basically follow me on there and we chat.
Go on, shout your sponsors out.
Oh, it's Nike and Red Bull.
Well, just for people that weren't listening, you have done an outfit change. Who weren't watching, you have done an outfit change through this podcast.
Mate, there's aircon in this room. Aircon in the room, and it's cold. Do you know what I mean? It's like put a jacket on. I'm sorry. This t-shirt's also Nike. This one's Nike. Do you know what I mean? There we go. There you go. There's the sponsors, mate.
So your shout out one more time because I probably interrupted through that.
Nike and Red Bull.
No, your social media.
Oh, Joe Clarke K1.
Cool. All right, thanks very much for having you on.
Come see a big bench press if you want on the Instagram.
Big bench press.
Oh no.
Oh, we're going so well. You ruined it at the last point.
Ah, mate, I knew you were going to rip me at some point.
That's a terrible sign off.
All right. My bad. It's been good to be on the show.
All right, so tune in next week. We've got David Smith coming on, who's a Paralympic cyclist. He's got an amazing story about how he's come back from various tumours and cancer over the years. Like genuinely one of the best stories you'll possibly hear from
most
any
inspiring
sports person out
people
there.
as well.
Very inspiring. After that, we got Amy Fuller coming on as well. She's a snowboard athlete, and she's doing incredible things as well. She'll probably say a lot of kind of extreme sports kind of lingo which Phil won't understand, so that'll be hilarious.
You won't understand as well.
Of course I'll understand. I know it in and out, inside out.
Whoa, that's a bit far.
They just go, you! That's it, basically. Anyway, so tune in next week, and thanks, Joe, for coming on.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.